Welcome to Unlock Your Potential, Transform Your Life and the Lives of Others. In this short session, we will consider the Self and ACE coaching models as two simple, short tools for creating personal change through coaching. Your course tutor, Dr. Dave Wood, has had a varied career. He left school at 16 to complete an engineering apprenticeship before going on to become a senior probation officer, trade union chair and lecturer in the psychosocial analysis of offending behavior. He is also a drummer, lay minister in the Church of England, taekwondo enthusiast, and author of a number of articles around crime and society. Dave is the founder of Metanoeo Coaching and CIC, where his work is currently focusing on neurodiversity coaching and training and supporting people to become community-based life coaches. The core materials in this session are part of the Life Garage materials developed by Dave as a free set of resources designed to help people help themselves and others to live life well. In this session, we will consider coaching as a foundational approach to working with people. We will then look at the value of brief interventions, such as the models we will be considering. We will then explore the Self and ACE coaching models for coaching yourself and others respectively. We will finish the session considering the next steps in application. A simple way of considering coaching, in the therapeutic context, is that whereas counseling asks why am I like I am, coaching asks what am I going to do about it. As such, the coaching foundation for our two tools is one which is not about counseling. Our behaviors may have deep psychological foundations, and these should only be explored by a professional therapist. It is also not about curing people. We are not holding up a model of humanity for people to attain, or to see them as anything less than whole. Growth does not equate with fixing. Yet it is about encouraging curiosity. Things can be different, and curiosity helps us to see how. It is also about enabling courage. Change requires us to take steps into the unknown. We can be brave. Finally, it is also about supporting compassion. We make mistakes and can expect too much of ourselves. Real success comes with self-kindness. The approaches we are going to look at can be located within the idea of brief interventions. Professor Windy Dryden, Emeritus Professor of Psychotherapeutic Studies at Goldsmiths University, London, has characterized brief interventions as being those which are aimed at getting unstuck and moving forward when facing a specific issue. These are approaches that don't require hours of unpacking psychosocial influences, but instead look toward what can be done right here and now. In terms of our tools, we are talking about informal but purposeful structured chats, or reflective time with ourselves, which can be done over a coffee or whilst walking down a corridor. Self-coaching is a self-directed activity to help you make decisions about your next step forward. It involves listening to yourself, using creative thinking, and identifying the resources you have and need to set your future direction with determination. For me, this is something I typically do over a coffee, pint, or glass of wine. Like many approaches to life coaching, in our approach to self-coaching, we will make use of a model to help structure our thoughts and plans. Our model uses SELF as an acronym standing for state of play, envisioned future, look for the root, and first steps, as shown in the diagram. The state of play starting point is about being honest with yourself. What is the pain point, what is going on, and what needs to change? As you consider this, it can be helpful to ask yourself, what is actually happening and what is the bigger picture? This is the context of your concern. Then, how do I know this is something I want to change? This is examining your perspective. It's important because sometimes we think things should change because of unseen societal pressure when we might actually be okay. Essentially, this is about seeing the story of our own life and asking ourselves, what's going on? What is it I want to change, and what is causing me to know I want to change it? Here's an example. If I am feeling tired and sluggish, I might ask myself if this is about my stage in life or health, and consider this in the light of the context of my own personal experiences. For me, I've never really been athletic, so my starting point for self-expectations should be lower. I might ask, what is making this a problem now? Has my experience got worse? Or am I seeing other people around me full of energy and so my perspective had changed? The second stage of the process is to begin to think about what that change looks like. What is it that we actually want, and what has our journey been in relation to that ideal? It's good to know what we don't want, but what is it we do want? It is useful now to begin to visualize what change looks like. What are we hoping for? Yet it is also important to consider this in light of the cost of that change, so as to ensure we remain realistic. Returning to our example, we might have seen that other people are making us feel sluggish, but that we still feel we would like to be more energetic. This is our hope. Here we are recognizing that it's not to be fitter in comparison to them, but to be fitter within our own boundaries. We maintain a realism in our vision for the future by accepting the cost to our potential training regime of our age and health as factors, but not pessimistically seeing them as fixed determinants. So we can train and get fitter, but with the realism of not aiming for the goals of others, or the more youthful self. Instead, we develop a vision costed and contextualized for our own desire and circumstances. The third stage is to start to develop a plan. This will involve taking our envisioned future and looking for the route we will need to take to get there. What direction should I be heading in? We then need to be identifying the practical and psychological tools and experiences we already have to help us take our journey, and those which we will need to develop. Finally, we should ask what things might be a challenge or struggle as we start our change journey. What might trip us up en route? So, back to our example. We want to be fitter, for us, in our context. Perhaps a 5K run rather than a marathon in the first place. So the direction of travel might be to create an exercise plan that is realistic enough to stick to. If we haven't done this before, we might look at what tools are available to help with this, and as such download the Couch to 5K app. We then might identify that if it rains, or are feeling a bit lacking in motivation, we might miss training, and that this could be the start of a slippery slope. So we determine to train with someone else, so we train together, and won't let each other down. The final stage is determining the actual first step we are going to take. In my professional experience, one of the biggest barriers to change is a focus on the end goal too early and not being prepared for the nature of the first, wobbly, tentative, steps. So, rather than making our first action a big unsustainable leap to our goal, we take a smaller, easier step. One which is easier and more realistic and will create momentum. Our final step in our example would, therefore, not be to sign up to a 5K race that's due to be run in 3 months' time thinking this will motivate us. But instead, to take the simple action of downloading the app and completing the first run or walk. Now to our second model. This has been designed to be used with other people. ACE is an acronym which stands for an approach to your conversations based around what the person wants to achieve, the challenges they face, and how they will execute their plan. The first step is to explore what the person wants to achieve. This is a bit like the idea of a goal in coaching, with the significant difference being that it is less defined and specific at this stage. During this part of the conversation, you will be focusing on getting the person to verbalize what they want a certain situation to look like. It might involve something practical like what will change, but also might involve something less tangible like how they might feel if a situation was resolved. Whilst this might not be as specific as a defined goal, at this stage you can still use this part of the conversation to help the person develop a clearer picture of what a good life would look like in relation to this area of change, using as much imagery and detail as possible. For example, someone comes to you to tell you they are feeling really fed up with their job and that they are thinking of quitting and doing something different. Your role here would be to explore if leaving is really what they want, or just a reaction to something else. If things were better, what would that look like? What are they trying to achieve, a new job, or feeling more settled in the current one? The second stage is to help the person identify what challenges they will face as they move toward their intended achievement. A big part of moving from having a dream to making it real is recognizing the challenges and costs achieving it will bring. The focus in this part of the conversation is not to dwell on previous unsuccessful attempts, although it's fine to draw learning from these, but to identify how to overcome the challenges faced now. A key feature here is making sure the person focuses on what they can do about challenges they might face, rather than on what they cannot do. Recognize that challenges can be tough, but that they can also be a great means of learning and developing new skills and perspectives. Returning to our example, the person may have identified that they don't actually want to leave, they just want to feel more motivated. So, now they need to be supported to explore what things they can change, and what things they need to accept as part of the role and thus change their perspective on, and accept the compromise. The final part of the conversation is about getting the person to verbalize what actions they are going to commit to taking to achieve their desired outcome. At this stage, the more specific and realistic the person can be, the better the chance they will be able to execute their plans. Encourage the person to be optimistic and challenge themselves, but also help them to keep their plans realistic. Remember that even the greatest of journeys starts with a single step, and so small changes when planning are often far more effective at long-term change than big and overambitious initial plans. As someone takes small steps, they can build on their progress. Returning for a final time to our example, the focus here will be on what can be done rather than just complaining or daydreaming about things being different. Is there someone they should talk to at work? What might they say? What commitments might they make? Helping ground their choices and expectations in reality, rather than fantasy, will foster realistic optimism and will lay a foundation for feeling better about the situation. These two simple tools are both straightforward ways of giving some purpose and structure to the everyday conversations we have with ourselves and others. In the spirit of the models, we will now do a traffic light exercise to help you determine your own next step in applying these tools. First, the red light. Are there any things you need to stop doing in your conversations with yourself and others? Next, the amber light. Are there things you'd like to find out a little more about? Remember, both of these models come from our free-to-access Life Garage resources, where you'll find a lot more information and tools. We also offer a Level 5 accredited award in community-based life coaching if you've really got the coaching bug. Finally, the green light. What can you apply straight away to your next conversation with someone else, or yourself when facing a challenge? Thanks for completing this short course. Don't be a stranger, we hope to see you again very soon.